Hello, world and universe. Welcome to the Trevor Donald Experience. Manifest your truth. And if you're new to the channel, please hit that like and subscribe button. And for all my continued followers, I want to say thank you. And this is an opinion-based video channel where I try to open your eyes and ears up to some of the travails and tribulations that take place throughout our cities, our states, our country, and sometimes around the world. And I got one story for you that's unfortunate, straight out of Minnesota. And it's encapsulated around politics, mental illness, stalking, surveillance. This is a very interesting time that we are going through right now, in the sense that this is a tough time to be a politician. You have several politicians that have been indicted. The FBI, the feds have been heavy on entertainers and politicians here recently. And in the political arena, I think a lot of are after this last election, for the first time historically, we have this gentleman, Donald Trump, President Trump. I have never seen in 60 years where one individual galvanizes this much emotion in people today, whether it's positive or negative. Nobody's in the middle on how they feel about Trump. Either they love him or they hate him. And Trump is Trump on everybody's mind, either pro or against. But Trump, President Trump, he does push buttons. He does heighten anxiety for folks on the left and the right. I would consider myself to be an independent, but some of Trump's rhetoric, and we know the most powerful tool you can have is your speech, your articulation, what comes out of your mouth, the power of words. And Trump knows how to push people's emotions. The problem with that is for those individuals who are not completely emotionally stable or psychologically stable, it could turn an individual in Trump's rhetoric could turn an individual and heighten one's emotions and get them to do something diabolical or sinister or even criminal. That may not be Donald Trump's intent, but based on some of the things he says and the way he frames some of the things that he says or will say, people are listening. He is in the most powerful position in the world, and but we do have a large number of people who are not emotionally, psychologically equipped to decipher and to sift through what's real and what's not. And mental illness is a real thing. This story is wrapped around mental illness, and my belief is wrapped around politicians. And when you have a gumbo of a mentally ill person and overexposure of politicians and in their disagreement on life and its views, if those two segments get together, an unstable citizen and a politician that's on the other side of that unstable citizen's belief system, sometimes horrible things can happen. And that's what took place in Minnesota, if you all are not aware of it, a few weeks ago. So let's get into the story. The man's name is Vance Boelter, who has been indicted on federal murder charges in the killing of Minnesota lawmaker and her husband. So yes, this man, Vance Boelter, stalked and surveillanced this Minnesota lawmaker and her husband, and he gunned them down in one of the most heinous ways you can do it. And the question is, why would he commit this political assassination? So, the man accused of fatally shooting the state's former House Speaker in what authorities have described as a politically motivated assassination, claimed that the state's governor wanted him to kill 2 U.S. senators, officials said. So this gentleman, Vance Boelter, allegedly said that the governor of Minnesota wanted him to kill two U.S. senators. However, he ended up going after some state lawmakers. So, and of course, the governor of Minnesota did not tell him to go kill anybody. Vance Boelter, 57, made the claims in a letter to FBI Director Kash Patel that was found in Boelter's car after the shooting last month at 2 lawmakers' homes, said acting U.S. Attorney Joseph Thompson, who called the letter part of an apparent effort by Boelter to excuse his crimes. Thompson said there was no evidence Boelter targeted Minnesota's 2 U.S. senators, Amy Klobuchar or Tina Smith, both Democrats. A spokesman for Governor Tim Walz did not immediately respond to the request for comment. So Tim Walz is the Minnesota governor, and this guy Vance Boelter said that Governor Walz commanded that he killed 2 U.S. senators. However, he went after 2 of Minnesota's state legislators. Thompson said the letter, which also included claims that Boelter had carried out missions for the military in Asia, the Middle East, and Africa. Those are alleged allegations that have not been confounded. That he would make public in an unsealed search warrant. The disclosure came after a federal grand jury indicted Boelter on 6 counts of stalking, murder through the use of a firearm, and other charges in a targeting shootings of 2 state lawmakers and their spouses. So initially he said Governor Tim Walz wanted him to kill 2 U.S. senators. Instead, he went after 2 state lawmakers in Minnesota. Mental illness is real, and evidently this man was not in his right state of mind. It isn't clear if federal authorities will seek the death penalty or not. Boelter's attorney did not immediately respond to a request for a comment. He was arraigned on 6 counts, 6-count indictment in September, and is set to face trial in November. Boelter was charged with killing Democratic State Rep Melissa Hortman. So this is what he actually perpetrated against a state legislator. Boelter was charged with killing Democratic State Rep Melissa Hortman and her husband, Mark, at their Brooklyn Park home on June 14th while impersonating a law enforcement officer. So this gentleman went way out of his way to go after this state rep. He was charged with shooting and injuring Democratic State Senator John Hoffman and his wife. So he went after a state rep, Melissa Hortman, and her husband, killing them. And then he went after the state senator, John Hoffman, and his wife, Yvette Hoffman, at their nearby home on the same day. Both had been released from the hospital. But not only did he try to kill John Hoffman and Yvette Hoffman, he allegedly killed the Hortman's dog. Thompson said Tuesday that Boelter also tried to kill the couple's daughter, Hope, who was at the home. So he tried to kill John and his wife, Hoffman and his wife, Yvette, and then he tried to kill Hope, who had happened to be there and got in between there, or something like that. And but he did kill the Hortman's dog. Diabolical and demonic at his best. Both John and Yvette acted with incredible bravery to put themselves between Boelter's bullets and their daughter. So there was a scuffle there. Miraculously, Hope was not shot, but she was the 5th intended victim. In a statement, Hope Hoffman said that while she was not wounded in the gunfire, she will now forever coexist with the PTSD of watching her parents nearby nearly get shot to death. in front of her and seeing her life flash before her eyes with that gun in her face. So PTSD is real. The amount of gun violence and crimes that are being committed today, sometimes we are thankful and say, thank God that you survived. But now you have to deal with the psychological, emotional, and physical ramifications after going through something so horrendous. And she's a young woman in the beginning of her life. She said, how I didn't get grazed is nothing short of dumb luck. I'm grateful I happened to be at my parents' house to be able to call 911. Had I not been, they wouldn't be here, she said. My parents saved me and we saved each other. After a manhunt, Boelter was found 2 days after the shootings, crawling in a field in a rural part of the state of Minnesota. He pleaded not guilty to multiple state charges of second-degree intentional murder and attempted murder. Authorities have said that he left behind a notebook with a list of politicians from his home state, including Hortman and Hoffman, as well as lawmakers in Wisconsin, Illinois, Michigan, Nebraska, and Iowa who he was going to go after. During a court hearing this month, Boelter waived his rights to probable cause and preliminary hearings and said that he was looking forward to the truth and facts about the 14th to come to the public, about June 14th. By waiving these two things, that gets us that much closer, even faster, when the truth can come out. So this gentleman he was getting ready to go on an alleged killing spree, not only starting in Minnesota, but he was going to go after lawmakers in Wisconsin, Illinois, Michigan, Nebraska, and Iowa. We have to be very careful of what the mental state of our friends, our families, things that are being said in social media posts, whether it's Facebook, Instagram. This is the most heightened political time in my lifetime. Trump exacerbates a certain intensity on the pendulum, either for or against him, that I have never seen before in a sitting president. And there are some very, very unstable individuals out here that will act upon or interpret some of the things that Trump is saying and go after folks. And this is very unfortunate. I'm not blaming Donald Trump. Mr. Boelter has to take responsibility for his own action, but mental illness is real. This is unfortunate. This man went after some state politicians in Minnesota and ended up taking their lives.